G'day Darkrealmers, it's horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliott here with you again, and today on the Dark Realm Diaries we're going to be reviewing another one of the movies from the Hellraiser series, and this time we're going to be looking at Hellraiser 5 called Inferno. So let's get started. Yeah! Well, after two really great movies, the franchise took a nosedive with number 3 and number 4. Number 3, Hell on Earth, was just woeful. It was cobbled together, the effects were bad, the plot was... Anyway, number 4 wasn't too bad because it gave us the origin of the puzzle box, and that was great to see. But it was set, believe it or not, on a space station where the ancestor, or the descendant of the original puzzle box maker was now trying to end the Cenobites forever. So it was nice to see that in number 5 they took some time and the series picked up again. Now it divides a lot of Hellraiser fans. Some say, well, no, it's not really good because, spoiler alert, Pinhead isn't in it that much, and some fans have said that they've basically used Pinhead just to tack on to the Hellraiser franchise and draw the audience in. Well, I don't believe that, because this is a perfect example of how Pinhead should be used. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar, you should be. Pinhead is the main Cenobite. Now, that's not his actual name. The actor who plays him, or up until recently, Doug Bradeley, was given that by the crew on the set after he came out in makeup with his full head full of nails and everything like that. He actually doesn't have a name, the character, but Clive Barker in his book, the Hellbound Heart, referred to him as the priest. Now, this movie is a step up, as I said, from number 3 and number 4, because it uses the Cenobites in a way that they should be used, because we're so used to, in the Hellraiser movie, someone opens a puzzle box, they get sent to hell or this other dimension where the Cenobites live, and then get ripped to pieces. But what is nice about this is that they show that the Cenobites are capable of psychological terror and torment too. Okay. Now, this movie in the franchise was released in 2000, and it was directed by Scott Derrickson and written by Paul Harris Boardman, and it stars Craig Sheffer as Detective Joseph Thorne, Nicholas Turturro as Tony Nenonen, and James Remar as Dr Paul Gregory. Now, the basic plot involves Detective Joseph Thorne, and he's a little bit on the shady side. He's a detective who isn't afraid to break the rules. He's not exactly evil or corrupt or bent, but it's hinted that, yeah, he's not afraid to do things his own way. Well, he has got a bad marriage. He's only staying with his wife just because of their daughter, and he finds himself, managing to stay married because he visits prostitutes. Now, the story starts with Detective Thorne and his partner, Tony, investigating a really grisly murder, and it definitely looks like a satanic killing. And in there, Thorne finds the puzzle box, the Remar configuration as it's known, and he's not above taking that. And he also finds some cocaine which he uses, takes home for his own personal use. And after that, he goes and visits a prostitute, and they spend some time in the motel room. And he wakes up in the morning, or early hours of the morning, and he goes into the bathroom and opens the puzzle box. Now, we're all used to the scenes where the puzzle box is opened, the walls shake and rip apart, and out walks Pinhead with his, entourage. Well, that doesn't happen. So straight away you think, okay, this is weird. Maybe he didn't open it properly. Okay, but it looked like he did. Anyway, as it turns out, when he gets up, he finds this woman, prostitute, murdered. She's in the bathroom, and he's thinking, my God, I'm going to be linked to the scene. So he goes out with his partner Tony, and he steals Tony's pen and also his empty cigarette packet, and he casually plants them there. Now, at that stage, I'm thinking, he's an utter bastard. He's going to frame this poor guy for this murder. And no, it's not quite like that. He says, look, I can't be tied to this. I just can't be, okay? But look, I'm not going to frame you or anything like that. They find your things there. I'm just going to say, look, you had a cigarette while you were there. You were a bit messy. You must have dropped your pen. It was a mistake, no biggie. But I need for you to cooperate with me, okay? Well, as the movie progresses, Detective Thorne is on the trail of a killer that's only known as the Executioner. And of course, we're all thinking, yes, that must be Pinhead. No, it's not. Okay, there's a very good twist, which I won't reveal to you. But the people that are involved or in Joseph Thorne's life are all targeted by this Executioner. And this is someone who has no face and just a mouth. Really terrifying, Darkrealmers, okay? And into this, the writer and producer have brought two new Cenobites. They're twins, and they're pretty gross, but it shows you, or it touches on that we're so used to seeing Cenobites and we think they're just there to cause pain, but they're masters at that balance between pleasure and pain, as the Divinal sang. And these two twins, in one of his dreams or one of his delusions, they come towards him and they slip their hands under his skin and they're licking him, and it's like he's in absolute heaven, and these twins are gross, as you can see. But as the story progresses, we see him basically trying to track down this Executioner, and there's a really strange sort of personal need. Now, also into the murder mix, there is some child who's being captured, and every time at the murder scene they find a child finger, okay? And you're thinking, what is all this to do? How does it all tie in? And there's this really great sense of you're not sure when he goes out somewhere or investigates something, is this reality or is this another delusion? Okay. Now, there's brilliant scenes in there where he goes to visit his mother and father in a nursing home, and his father is basically bedridden, breathing through a tube, and his mother's just sitting there knitting. Oh, Joseph, you don't come to see us anymore. We don't like it here. And you think, oh. But we know this is all delusion, because there's a man in a wheelchair that goes past him who has chains pulling his mouth out like the Joker. So this is another delusion, and he's being led down this path to try and solve the murders and the mysteries. And into this, James Remar, who plays Dr. Gregory, is trying to help him. And there's a wonderful scene where we know Dr. Gregory isn't who he claims to be, because at home we see Detective Thorne's wife and his daughter, and they're chained to that. I suppose it's like a tower. It's like where all the fleshy bits that the Cenobites hang their victims from, and they're slowly revolving. And in the lounge, it's snowing, and Dr. Gregory's there, very calm and very cool, saying, "Oh, it takes hours to die from the exposure, and I don't know how long they've been here or whatever." And of course, Detective Thorne is saying, "No, stop this." Well, we see in front of him his daughter frozen, and she's just, basically turns into ice cubes and falls to pieces. Okay, and the same with his wife. So we know this isn't real, but the fact that he's been told by this executioner, "Go home," and he thinks that's what the executioner meant, and it's not. And Dr. Gregory says, when he says, "Who are you? Who are you?" He says, "What are names? Names are unimportant." And yes, we sort of work out who it is. Okay, I'm not going to give you a spoiler, but the ending is really, really wonderful, because we find out who this child is, and it's this young boy's relationship to Thorne, and why we know there's something strange going on is because the DNA results come back from one of the fingers, and they say, this is strange, the DNA from this finger is yours. And he says, "How can that be?" Well, we know that he's being led down a path that goes down to his past. Okay, now, without spoiling it for you, Darkrealmers, basically Detective Thorne, all the things he's done wrong, all the corruption, all the violence, all those sort of things are being led, and magnified for him, and he's basically, being told, "Welcome to hell. This is, you've lost your innocence." Okay, and I'll just say that the innocence is somehow connected with his childhood, and so he's now being punished for all those things he's done wrong. It's a good entry into the Hellraiser series. Now, I'm a huge Clive Barker fan, and he is a wonderful horror writer. He truly is. But he also writes some really wonderful dark fantasies, Darkrealmers. There's one called Weave World, and it's a heavy-going book, but once you get into it, it's brilliant. And the concept's amazing. He talks about a world that exists within the webs and the warps of a rug, and this rug is being unravelled and cut into pieces and so forth, and it's the end of this world, and there's horror elements in that too, believe me. But back to the Hellraiser Inferno. This is definitely a step up. Okay, now if you're you have fond memories of Hellraiser 1 and 2, and you're like me and think 3 and 4 should be forgotten, you're going to enjoy this one. Okay, Darkrealmers. Now you can see it here on YouTube, and it's also available on DVD and Blu-ray. Okay, and there's a couple more in the Hellraiser franchise that I'll look at a bit later on. But the good news is that there's a new Hellraiser coming out. Hellraiser, I think it's called Judgment. Okay, now a lot of the fans are very, very skeptical because of the disappointments they've been through, and the director has promised, no, we're going back to the roots. Now, even though Doug Bradeley has said no, he's not going to be in the franchise anymore as Pinhead, and there's a new actor taking over that part, the director and the writers have promised fans to try and get back to what made the original Hellraiser series so wonderful, so creepy, and so unbelievably original, well, in my opinion. And Clive Barker himself has said that he's writing a book. Now, I can't remember the title off the top of my head because I read about this a long time ago, Darkrealmers, but it's I think it's called The Scarlet Book or something along those lines, and he's promising to do a sort of origin story or flesh out the mythos of the Cenobites, and in particular Pinhead. Well, we know Pinhead's origin, but basically the Cenobites, he's going to go into much greater detail, and I'm hugely looking forward to that. So there you go, Darkrealmers, that's my review of Hellraiser Inferno. Definitely not one for Amber, but if you are a huge Pinhead fan, don't be disappointed that he isn't in it throughout the movie. This has been a really good example of how they've used him sparingly but wisely, okay? And it's a very dark psychological drama with really OTT horror moments, okay? But I think you'll enjoy it. If you're a fan of the franchise, yes. Don't let 3 and 4 put you off. Take the time and invest in Hellraiser Inferno, okay? I did, and I really enjoyed it. And I was very sceptical after 3 and 4, okay? But that's the least said about that. Okay, Darkrealmers, well, that's my review. I hope you've enjoyed what I've had for you today. I had a lot of fun watching this and doing the research on it and so forth. Now, if you've liked it, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to leave a comment for all of our other Darkrealmers here. And if you love horror, if you love books and movies and trivia, anything to do with the world of horror, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so you'll never miss out on an episode of the Dark Realm Diaries. And I'll see you again very soon, Darkrealmers. And after watching this, you really should stay in the light. Bye for now.